Welcome back to International Business Academy's training curriculum. In previous modules, you learned on how to culturally adapt to the Guatemalan culture, and a part of that you learned the different phases of culture shock, as well as some of the coping strategies and how to address any culture shock symptoms. And a part of one of those strategies was exercise. Now we realize not everybody has usually exercised, but exercise again can be a very helpful strategy in order to relieve any anxiety or stress that you may feel during your internship experience over in a new country. So today within this instructional video, I am actually going to show you a type of exercise that is very relaxing and is very beneficial for both emotional and physical health. And that is yoga. So within this instructional video today, I am going to go ahead and demonstrate 3 different yoga poses. Those include the cat and cow, downward facing dog, and the pigeon pose. Each of these poses will be displayed to you and given narrative instructions on how to conduct these poses. And then once we have completed demonstrating each pose, I will walk you through on how you can actually take all 3 of these poses together and make a very nice short yoga flow. This can be very beneficial for you, especially whenever you're feeling anxiety or stressed within the Guatemalan country, then you can always go back to these yoga poses to just kind of ease your mind and ease your body into a nice, relaxing flow. So let's go ahead and get started with the first pose. So for this first yoga pose, I'm going to show you how to do the cat and the cow. So for the cat and the cow, it's actually very simple and it is very relaxing and really helps your back. So first you're going to lay your palms down onto the ground and have your knees split and have them align with your hands, and then just keep your feet flat on the ground like so. So now what you're going to do is you're going to first do the cat position, which for the cat position you are going to curve your back up and tuck your tummy in and bring your chin to meet your chest. So I will demonstrate as so. So you're going to round your back, suck your tummy in, and take your chin to your chest. And then right after this, you're going to do the cow position, which the cow position, you're going to take your tummy, bring it down to the ground, lift your head up, and have your chin point out. And this you'll look like a cow looking up at the sky. So then let's do it together again. So then this is cat. You roll your spine up to meet the ceiling, suck your tummy in, and take your chin to your neck. And then take your tummy down, arch the back, lift your head up looking at the ceiling and keeping your chin out, which this is cow. Typically you want to run through this about 10 to 15 times before transitioning to your next move. The next pose I want to show you is the most common in yoga, which is downward facing dog. Downward facing dog is very beneficial when just to stretch out the back of your calf muscles, as well as it stretches out the arms and elongates the back. So let me go ahead and demonstrate this for you as so. So to start off with downward facing dog, you're going to have your hands planted down on the ground, and you're actually going to curl your toes and place your toes onto the ground as well. Then you're going to push up with your hands and your knees to lift up onto your toes and be on your feet and your hands to form a triangle shape like I am right now. And then a part of the downward facing dog, to kind of get used to the move, you can pedal your feet to bend your legs back and forth to get a better stretch. Sometimes this is good to start off, especially if you've never done this move before. And then once you're ready, you can go ahead and plant your heels down on the ground and then just take some deep breaths. Usually I like to take about 10 deep breaths here in this pose before moving on to the next move in the flow. So the last position that I want to show you today is the pigeon pose. And the pigeon pose is very beneficial because it really helps stretch out your glute muscles as well as your outer and inner thighs. And it's a very great pose to actually transition to from the downward facing dog position that you learned in the previous, like a few minutes ago within the video. So let me go ahead and demonstrate this for you. So first, you're going to get into your downward facing dog position. So again, you're going to have your hands planted onto the ground. You're going to curl your toes. Then you're going to push up off of your hands and your knees to get into your downward facing dog position. Once you're in this position, then you're actually going to take your right foot and kick it back towards the back of the room. So you're going to have it floating back here for a minute. So then, once you have this floating, you're actually going to take your right foot and you're going to meet with your left hand. So we're going to bend our knee and swing our foot to meet the middle between our hands here with our knee. And then we're going to take the right foot and place it right next to our left hand. Then we're going to put our knee down in the back and go ahead and take a seat on the right side of our bottom and then stretch out the back left leg as I'm doing now, and then keep the right foot at an angle here, kind of like you're making a 4, the number 4 with your legs. So then, within this pose, you can actually immediately start feeling it in your right glute muscle, as well as I can feel it within my inner thighs here. So if you want, keeping this position is actually, you'll definitely feel the stretch if you stay upright like this. But if you're a little bit more flexible and you want a deeper stretch, you can go ahead and take your forearms and put them down to the floor, and this will allow you to have a much deeper stretch. And then after you do this side, then you'll go ahead and do the left leg, doing the same steps. And typically I like to hold this pose for about between 30 seconds to 1 minute. It really depends on if you did any other exercises the day earlier. So now that we went ahead and learned these 3 different yoga moves, I'm going to go ahead and just show you how briefly you can do it as a yoga flow. Now that you have learned the 3 new yoga poses, cat and cow, downward facing dog, and the pigeon pose, now we're going to go ahead and go through a flow, or just, taking one move all the way to the next move is what a yoga flow is. So let's go ahead and get started. So first we're going to start off in cat and cow. So typically we'll do the same steps that we did in the previous part of the video. So we're going to round our back up to do cat, belly in, chin towards the chest, and then we're going to do cow, which we're going to breathe out, arch our back, belly to the floor, eyes and chin up to the sky. And then you would typically do this about a few times, just going up with cat, breathing in, and down with cow, breathing out. Then next, to move on with the flow, after completing this about 10 times, then you'll go ahead and curl your toes, push up with your knees and your hands to go into a downward facing dog. So you'll move up into the triangle pose, and then you can pedal your feet to get used to it, then plant your heels on the ground, and then stay here for about 5 to 10 deep breaths. Then, once you've completed that, then you'll go ahead and take your right leg and then kick it back towards the back of the room. Hold it here, and then you're going to take your knee and then go right in between your hands here, and then move your right foot over to your left hand. Place it next there horizontally. Drop your back knee down. Lay your foot flat. Sit on your right bottom cheek. And then you can either sit up right here, or if you want, you can go down to your forearms to have a more broader stretch. Then once you've spent 30 seconds to a minute on this leg, you'll go ahead and push back up on your hands and kick your right foot back into a downward facing dog. And then you'll do the same thing on the left leg. So you'll kick this back, your left foot, bring your left knee in between your hands here. Then you'll take your left foot next to your right hand, lay your back knee down in your foot, sit on your left cheek, bottom cheek, and then you can either sit up right here, or again, you can go down to your forearms to have a more broader stretch. Then once you spend 30 seconds to a minute here, then you'll go ahead and go back into a downward facing dog. And then you can stay here for another 5 to 10 deep breaths, and then drop down to your knees. And then you will have completed your first full yoga flow. We hope that you enjoyed this instructional video on learning 3 new yoga poses in order to utilize it as an exercise to be a good coping strategy to address any culture shock you may experience during your internship here in Guatemala City. If you do have any further questions in reference to this video or any other coping strategies to address culture shock, please reach out to your International Business Academy representative via email to set up a Skype session or a phone call in order to address any questions you may have. Thank you so much for participating within this yoga instructional video.